Welcome, everyone. I'm researcher in sociology and director or co-director together with Lise of the Inclusive Knowledges Lab, short for co-creation for Inclusive Knowledges Lab. I want to thank you for being here and thank Timo and Petra for organizing this meeting today. Actually, Timo just started in the coordination of the lab just a few weeks ago. And so the first thing he did as a coordinator of the lab was organizing this meeting to share with us about this very intriguing project that he did together with Petra. They're going to talk about it with us. Common Grounds Dialogue. And I think talking about this project fits very much in the lab. What we want to do in this lab is rethink the hierarchies of knowledge when we co-produce knowledge with each other. So we're often used to think of academic knowledge as above other types of knowledge, professional knowledge as somehow applying academic knowledge, experiential knowledge as having maybe less legitimacy than academic knowledge, art being something completely different. And in this lab we want to rethink these relations and see how we can co-produce and co-create knowledge with attention for the power relations between how we consider all these different types of knowledge. Last weekend I was at a very big meeting of the Raad voor de Volksgezondheid, I'm not sure in English, like the Council for Public Health in the Netherlands, where I realized from the keynotes and all the workshops there were that this idea that we should reconsider hierarchies of knowledge is becoming very mainstream actually. It was all over, like everybody was talking about co-creation, about reconsidering the value of experiential knowledge, and so actually, when we started this lab, I thought one of our agendas is, bringing this message forward, articulate why we need that, and now I'm thinking, actually, what we're doing in the lab is trying to, craft methodologies with each other, trying to understand, how to do that, and what are dilemmas, and work together in this sense. Many people don't like the word lab because it's a bit clinical, laboratorium, as if we're doing something like experiments with white coats, and it's very separate from real life. But actually, I silently like the word lab. And I was thinking this morning that's probably because in my mother tongue, Italian, we use laboratorio also to talk about art, actually, and especially to play with art. Like laboratorio is when children go and do art and crafts together. So it's really, being together, creating together, discovering together. So I want to rehabilitate this word. So we're going to do a laboratorio. Actually, what we're going to do today maybe is not really a laboratorio because we're going to sit, listen to presentations, and then have a panel discussion, which is quite, plain academic way to be with each other. But at the same time, I think diving into this project helps us imagining other ways to know, other ways to discover, to understand, and to talk, where art and research come together. What else did I want to say? And I think also finding languages, which is also very important for us in this lab, to connect our conceptual knowledge with more, our emotional knowledge, what drives us personally, community wisdom, and all kinds of levels. Before we start, I think we have, we don't have much time. Actually, I want to do a round. Maybe you can just say your name and one thing about yourself, just one word, like you can say you're a researcher or something else or an artist, so that I've heard everybody's voices. So can I start in the back, from there?
Martijn, using a laboratorio, playing with art.
Nice. You can just say one word, that's very nice. Thank you.
Petra Ardai, anthropologist.
G. Zuzan, co-producer of knowledge.
Nabil, PhD candidate and practitioner.
Yeah, Robert, organizational anthropologist, and curious about co-creation of knowledge. Yeah.
Lisa, researcher.
PhD.
Hilton, feminist designer. Elif, researcher and insecure about co-creation.
Charlotte, giving art and knowledge a stage.
Martha, creative producer. Miriam, impact research.
I'm urban ethnographer.
Saskia, Steve Malone.
Thank you.
Louise, love being creative.
Fabian, co-creation through arts practices.
Sanaz, researcher but in a playful manner, so let's say just explorer.
Timo, researcher.
Cynthia, researcher. Grietje, resonance.
Charlotte, researcher.
Nice.
Whoa.
One word, but
Artist, Petra.
Sophie, advocate for the arts.
thanks. That's very nice. So we see there are a lot of researchers and a lot of people that are connected to research in different ways, and a lot of people that are connected to art in different ways. So it's nice to see this mix. I will now give the word to Petra Ardai, artist. The organization she founded is called Space. She worked with us from sociology department already different times in other projects, and I will leave the word to you to present this project to us.
Yeah, because I present the project and then Timo presents the research of the project, so that's the...
Yeah, I didn't really talk you through the program, but that's, so Petra is going to talk about the common ground.
So how it came
Yeah.
and what it is, so that it gets more sense when Timo explains about the research.
Exactly.
And it's still on the project, so it's a methodology research, so it's not finished yet, so we can't present the hand.
And after this we're going to have a small panel discussion and of course discussion with you all.
Okay, this is the one. Hello, I'm Petra, and Petra Ardai, and I am an artist indeed, and I was born behind the Iron Curtain, and I didn't know that I was born behind the Iron Curtain until I arrived here, and then people said to me in '89, when actually the curtain disappeared, that I was born behind the Iron Curtain, and that so they asked how was it to be born behind the Iron Curtain. And then I said, and I still say when they ask, so I've never been behind the curtain. It's maybe you who looked at the curtain, but we were not behind it, right? And then, of course, we were behind the curtain because there were always two narratives. So there was one official narrative and one narrative that was like the informal one. So it's in a way, that's how I am socialized and born. And this is my storytelling machine. I'm conditioned this way that there are always, that narrative structures create the reality we live in, and that everything that I relate to is that stories change and monuments come and go, and then another regime comes, new street names appear, new monuments disappear. So this is all this fluctuation of narratives. That's my fascination, and that I would like to get a grasp on how narrative structures actually influence our perspective of experiencing each other and ourselves, and how these ingrained narratives and well then connected, for example, to the past and the future, how they influence actually life, right? So very much fascination with collective memory, collective biases, historical amnesia from the place I come from, right? Other places as well, yeah. All right, yeah, this one. Yeah, so this is the carrier of the vehicle of my work, and Space produces all my autonomous work. Space is an internationally oriented art initiative, and it's not only me, it's also Sophie Levering, who is my companion, let's say in the sense of strategies and content and international content, contacts, and also, yeah, kind of sparring partner how to course in these times with art. And there are many others, for example, Jürgen Ulongario, he is my artistic companion. He is not here today, but he's a spoken word artist, and he is originally from Sint Maarten, so he's a real Dutchman, because I'm of course a migrant. And then of course we have here Marta, who is our creative producer many times, and also researcher. And I would like to also mention Judith Burrels, who is in Hungary, and she's my old-time Hungarian producer and researcher who is very much also involved in this project, and she made the website. So space is space because to create room for new ways of encounters, new ways of relating to each other. And explorers of the continuous present, it is because you cannot access the past only in the present, right? And you cannot access the future only in the present. So in a way, the past and the future are both fictions that you create in the moment. So it's a big responsibility what kind of stories we create, right? So, and that is a little bit, of course, we are doing with our way of presenting documentary work. Because space produces immersive storytelling in diverse media. I studied theater, but movement theater actually, but and then other things as well. But now we work in different media, and we work with big topics like migration and inequalities of all kinds. But we try to bring it back to the politics of the personal. So I always asking the question: who am I in relation to that? What would I do if I would be in the situation? What would we do if we are in that situation? So that's very important, so that it's not such a far thing and that we are moralizing about the subject, but trying to really, as far as possible, and between the borders of tastefulness, integrating the problem. And the audience is or player or participant is always a co-creator, so never a spectator, but like Augusto Boal, Theatre of the Oppressed, a actor, right? So always involved. Oftentimes the audience is, in our case, even the protagonist, so it's all happening around. And we make docu-fiction or radical what-ifs, but I will tell a bit more about that. So we are trying to explore reality through fiction. That sounds maybe a bit contradictory, but it isn't. It's a special imaginary room that we create so that you can encounter thoughts and ideas that you in real life rather not encounter. So and post-apocalyptic scenario is rather better if it's in the imaginary than in real life. Or so that's why I think it's very important to understand that you can model things in fiction, and you can have this free space to really engage with something that you otherwise would avoid, be politically correct, try to not go there, try to not question, don't dare to question, right? So staying with the trouble, to be with Donna Haraway, right? And having a look around where it seems unfamiliar, frightening, and hostile. That's possible in that space, and I think it's very important to do that, to dare to do that. So this is, because it can happen that it's suddenly you figure out that the other one thinks the same, or is from the same thing afraid, or actually it's not so frightening. That can also happen. And this is, I collected what's the point of playing with radical fiction. but it's better to say an example. So before COVID, we made Rehearsing the Revolution. That was a piece where we made fictitious revolutions with the audience, and we so the COVID came and we had to scale it down to smaller groups, and then so in smaller groups you could really make extreme revolutions, like revolts, and try to find out how far we can go, right, with this staying with the trouble attitude. And we actually found that people got who were really not on the same page in the beginning about certain topics, that they found a kind of understanding or a kind of common ground in the fiction, and then that remained somehow when we were out of the game as well. They could talk at least with each other about the rubbish in Almere, for example. They had different, or about green issues where most of the time people very different opinion, many other things we found. So when you play with radical fiction, I still go a little bit in it. Please remind me if I'm over time, right? Okay. So when you play with this kind of extreme fiction, then you know what it is about, but it's still the scenario is unknown, and that levels out, right? Everybody is the same. We all don't know. That's cool, and it gives a little bit a glimpse into your storytelling machine, because you see, because you make it up in the moment, so you see how it happens, how it occurs, and it helps to articulate what hurts and what we need. Very oftentimes we really don't know, or we really don't know what we are against really, or what really hurts, and we also don't know what we really want, right? So somehow it's all borrowed, what would be good and not what we really want. So that is somehow also occurred, that people through the fiction, as a kind of projector, the fiction showed what were the really big misunderstandings or problems. So in that sense it trains empathy, it shines a bit of light on blind spots, because when you empathize with somebody, then you understand, and you also understand, oh, I assumed something before, and then your assumption gets a little bit of glimpse of light, and then you can be a bit more aware of your preconditioning. And especially because we did that also in Hungary and in Cyprus, in the buffer zone, rehearsing the revolution, we show that people who really, that people can disagree with respect. We really saw that, and that builds trust. So this was the project Rehearsing the Revolution, and we thought it's really a pity to keep it in the artwork and play it for our own bubble, which is left liberal and above the age of 55. So why not team up with cross-sector, with researchers and people from the social sector, and make it and offer it and not close it off in the cultural sector. And that's how we got actually to the Common Ground Dialogues, which is a Creative Europe project that explores space storytelling methodology. And these are our partners: Subjective Values Foundation, Subjective Ethic Equality from Hungary is the coordinator, and the Nitra Theatre Festival in Slovakia, Plurality University Network in France. They are a global network of inclusive future scenarios and foresighting. And of course our host, the Vrije Universiteit, we partner sociology, and Timo and Lisa are researchers, and that's us. Yeah, so this is a methodology research, so we have many storytelling circles that we actually conducted. Some of them are in this project, and some of them are not. All right? Yeah, I go here also a little bit further. So, why is the Common Ground Dialogue Storytelling Circle different from a training? Yeah, I mean, it is a training still, but I still find it important to say that it's an artistic practice, and it has, it is a bit different because it is not on a pattern of a workshop or like backcasting or this or that. It has a kind of non-definable genre. And there is a strange balance of power because we are not teaching something, so we don't know something better, but we also don't. Yeah, we are not. I don't know. We are not helping, so somebody is not weaker. Yeah. So if you help with the best thing, it indicates a power structure, and when you play together, that's a horizontal exchange of stories. So we can maybe later also exchange about that. Of course, I come with something, so there is a power structure because I come with. If I don't come with anything, with a frame, then nothing will happen. But it is so open that a kind of exchange can occur, which is the best is if it's horizontal. And when you play together, then which is absolutely a learning experience, then you forget yourself, so you don't stand in your own way. You cannot play with looking at you how you are doing. Then you are not having fun. So when it goes optimally, then you are in the experience, so not looking at yourself. That's why it's important to reflect in the end. And it is absolutely non-normative, so you can't imagine a post-apocalyptic scenario, good or bad. It's like it's authentic at that moment unfolding. There is no good or bad, and only the process is important and not really the outcome. Right. So we did a lot of these storytelling circles, and some of them went good, some of them went less good. We can and all the people who participated, they were co-researchers, right? Because we were getting information about it. But one thing that we always could tackle is this point: where can trust be found? So what's the point that if there was a lack of trust, where we can rebuild it from, or where is the point of trust in the group? And I would like to show them 2 examples for that, which are, some of the photos are not from the research because we are not allowed to show every photo of the research, but very similar. So this is a storytelling circle in assignment of the Ministry of Agriculture of the Netherlands between farmers and the politicians, so let's say the ministry, then biological farmers who are open for change, and activists. And the assignment was to make the story of this transition in 1 hour. In 1 hour, I think there are people coming. And no. And yeah, that's it. So I wouldn't say that we managed to take away all the problems, but what could happen is that after 1 hour of working with, we worked with a little bit with memories, and then we created the story of the cow of the future, the descendants of the farmers, and the descendants of Extinction Rebellion. We brought them into a conversation together. So it's 50 years in the future, and we look back how it all occurred that we are now in this great future, and all problems solved. So people like farmers, they needed to understand values of Extinction Rebellion, and the other way around. So that was quite already, the preparation was like empathizing with values. That was actually what we could do. So I wouldn't say that we solved the problem, but I can say that they had a completely different conversation afterwards than they would have had before. So before, everybody had already a pre-formed opinion that they come together and they tell. Everybody knows more or less what to expect, what they would say, and they prepare, of course. But after this, then they were enriched by the view of the cow, enriched by the view of Extinction Rebellion. So there was a completely other start for the conversation. Another example is, this is from the storytelling circle of Common Ground Dialogues. It's in Pilic. Pilic is a Hungarian city in 40 kilometers from Budapest. And there's a big Roma community. And they live in extreme poverty, but it's a poverty that you cannot imagine. It's yeah, I'm not going to go into details, but it's something unimaginable. The housing, or there is no housing, so it's like an. And the other group was non-Roma Hungarians who are also living in this city. It's a city, and they generationally don't talk. And these are Roma parents, and their children are studying in the school where the non-Roma Hungarians give lessons. So these teacher parents, they never talk. Yeah? So they came together. So you need to know maybe about, yeah, you probably know a lot about Hungary, but dehumanizing the Roma, and Roma is already for 400 years in Hungary, and they are absolutely not mentioned in any historical books. There's no monument, nothing, as if they were not present in our history, as if they wouldn't contribute to any revolution, and they are wiped out, right? So if you're a Roma kid and you are in school, you don't learn anything about your ancestors. You don't know what happened to them in the Second World War. You have no idea, right? So the only thing you're busy with that you don't look Roma. So if you are a bit lucky and you have a lighter skin color, then you try to say that you're not Roma. So it's really extreme. Yeah, and so that we did this beautiful day together, and I must say that yeah, the Roma were absolutely at ease with storytelling, and they were extremely imaginary. And once this whole thing for everybody new, right? Then it was like they were flying, and it was very funny because it was more or less all also happening in the village, all the memories, because they had generations there. And then in the end we had a lunch together, and they had a completely, yeah, number one, they had a conversation, and they had a completely different conversation than they had ever. And that. And what's great that they also have a spin-off, so they have different things, in smaller activities that go on. Yeah, so we didn't do this alone. There were people who were working with the Roma community already there. Okay. Right. So important with the common ground is that you make a safe and daring space. It's a closed session, small group. Everybody's a participant, even Timo, every time. And the persona of the facilitators is important. So I facilitated with Jürgen, and Jürgen is, of course, a man from the Caribbean, so he is representing the colonial past, and I'm representing then the Eastern European thing. I'm 55 plus, and white, and with an accent, a migrant. He doesn't have an accent, he's beautiful, and colored, and yeah, so that is a good combi, right? Everybody can find some aspect to go with it. But then in Hungary it wouldn't work, so then that was interesting that somebody comes from abroad and really wants to go there, so like a kind of celebrity, that's me, but I can talk Hungarian. And then I did it with a very famous Roma actor. And he was my sidekick, so then also everybody could really engage with the whole thing. And now in the detention center in Slovakia, where there, of course, we can't even go there, so we trained it's a female detention center, to two female trainers who are working there with the prisoners. We trained them, and we developed with them a scenario, and they and a female poet we are doing in Slovakia. So it's always looking at how you can put that together. And yeah, I don't go very much into the protocol, but there is a strict protocol, and there's, of course, it's a social game, so there are rules, but I tell that in a second. All right, so I'll lead you through in very, very fast, yeah? So this is something we do in 2 days most of the time, and so for the research we have to keep it together, yeah? So that but otherwise we always scale it, so not all parts we do, because otherwise it's too much for online. So there's a little introduction where we don't say our names or too many things, just a little bit that what will happen. Then we have a warm-up, which is a physical warm-up, and then we engage in our memories, and we give guided tours in our memories. Then we go towards spoken word and create poems, and then in that words beyond words, we are searching for a new vocabulary with words, and in the building section, where we are really a non-verbal exercise of building something, then we are negotiating the space. So it's a non-verbal search for a new vocabulary, and then we, from our memories, we search for characters, and with those characters we do a visionary fiction storytelling on an old Turkish pattern. I'm not going to tell that because it's too much. And then we have the reflection. Right. So this is the warm-up. As you see, we are demonstrating it. So you don't have to touch each other, number one. It's still very physical, it's one unit. There are two little rules. You can change the bamboo stick, but you are not allowed to drop it. And with these two little things, you can move people and have fun, and they don't have to touch each other, and you create a kind of unity. Here you see a bit more action. Yes. And then we engage in creating the memory maps. So we tested a lot of things. We now make routes of how you went from home to primary school and back, because most of the time everybody has already primary school experience. But otherwise you can do a childhood route as well. But it's safe to ask, I think, how did you go to primary school? No? So first we, of course, say that we work with personal stories, so please take care of your boundaries, and keeping it now a bit short, but it's a reoccurring, encouraging thing that we really point out that you need to take care of what you tell and don't tell, and watch your own storytelling machine. And then we ask if people can evoke their route in the room, so with the body, then draw it, and then tape it on the floor. That's the order of things, and it's about recalling sensory memories. Here you can see already that they are leading each other in each other's memory. I will also tell what kind of things we collect, what kind of memories, but what's funny to see is that all the routes are through each other. So here is Paramaribo, here is Budapest, here is, so it's like it's one world, it's then our world. And what's also interesting about the memory maps that it's a geographical ordering of a memory and not a chronological. So it's a time travel, yeah? Because you have memories of the route when you were small, you have memories maybe you went back later, maybe the route doesn't exist anymore, sometimes it happens as well, or some things disappeared. If you have, for example, a refugee background, or it's sometimes really beautiful to recall that route, how it was, so it's a loaded thing. And here you can see, first we search for non-humans, animals, plants, natural phenomena like lightning, machines, and landscapes. And then when they found that on that little map and they marked it on the floor, then they also have a structure literally to evoke your memory. So you get a lot of scaffolding to do your story. Yeah? So it's really easy. A good example is, for example, at the school, somebody said last time in Slovakia, it's a nice example, that in that school, my school had such a special smell, and then she couldn't describe it, and then another participant then suddenly describes the smell, right? Because she has an idea of the smell as well. And then while she was describing the smell, then we all had the smell of our school, and I don't know why I'm talking, do you have an idea of the smell of your school? It's just really strange that how with creating sensory imagery with words, you get really deep immersive experience of each other's memory. And especially because it's with the description of images and not very psychological. It doesn't go into, it goes into details that you don't think about most of the time. How was the smell there? How was the surface there? How was the light there? What happened in that storm, right? What kind of animal? I don't know. So you are triggered to have different memories. And what's beautiful about it that suddenly then when you lead the guided tour, then all these memories, they are there. So there is a mango tree, and there is the ocean, and there is so when you walk through the room, they are not there, but they are there, right? And this is now our world with all these things together. And then you can also, and it's cumulative. So you start to remember, and then it's more and more. But you can also let people search for memories. And then you already see how fiction and reality go a bit hand in hand. So you can, when everything is here, then you can ask, can you please stand somewhere where you experience a lack of power? So like somebody or something or you felt lost, and there is a lot of power. So it's delicate how you formulate it, but you can do that. And then if they want to share it, not share it, and leadership, role model, privilege, these are the things, sparkles of privilege. Not also monuments, some roots, what monuments are there, what are not there, what are missing, and what could be a monument. So that's a really beautiful the conversation, how that arises, right? And then you can also do it in the, you can also do it in the public space. Okay, so then we have the words beyond words, and this is interesting with the 3 questions. That's how we tackled all the big power imbalances, let's say, with how do personal memories relate to history, what does oppression do to memories, and what does privilege do to memories. This is Jürgen on the left. Here he is in the action. And then here we are building, right? This is the construction, what we build with very silly material, with the bamboo sticks. You can build a shelter, you can build the starting place of the revolution, you can place also monuments. And it's another vocabulary, right? And here is a shelter in Polish. And here you see, for example, one storytelling with the illustration of Stella the Fourth. So after the storytelling, people get a drawing of the world they created. And they also get all the poems that Jürgen made, because while he's listening to all the memories, he creates poems. And then he summarizes the stories in poems, which is a great experience for the people. So you see already the little tornado, the